Today we are going to present our group assignment. So without wasting the time, let me introduce the title of our group assignment and let me introduce little more detail on what is mental health. So the title that we get is the importance of mental health awareness. So what is mental health? So I guess everyone know the meaning. So in my opinion, mental health is a physical illness of the brain that causes disturbance in thinking, behavior, energy or emotion that make it difficult to cope with the ordinary demands of life. It also affects how we think, feel and also act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others and make choices. As we know, mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood, adolescence through adulthood. So in addition, the most common mental health conditions are anxiety disorders and mood disorders. So with the fact from an article on mental health awareness that I find from Google, each year approximately 44 million American adults will experience a serious mental health condition. So although the general perception of mental health as important over the past decade, it is important to us to study the importance of mental health awareness. So untreated mental health can contribute to higher medical expenses, poorer performance at school and work, or fewer employment opportunities and increased risk of suicide. So guys, there is a problem of having mental health. So we need to take action from now to cope with these mental health problems. So here are my group members are going to explain to all of you the importance of mental health awareness. So there you go.
Suicide is among the top 3 causes of death among young people aged 15 to 34 years old. On the other hand, most people with mental disorder do not die by their own hand. The risk of suicide has been estimated to be 5 to 8% for several mental disorders, such as depression. In fact, 95% of people who commit suicide have a mental illness. In a general sense, mental illness all too often is an isolating experience, with such isolation correlating with suicide. It is important to understand that suicide is the result of many factors in a person's life. So, the objective of this poster, the importance of mental health awareness, is to elaborate more clearly about the relationship between both mental health and suicide issues. Other than that, this poster also aims to study suicide in depth and to suggest ways on how to overcome the problem. First of all, what is the suicide warning signs? People who take their own life sometimes display warning signs beforehand. Some warning signs include expressions of hopelessness or helplessness, an overwhelming sense of shame, a dramatic change in personality or appearance, change in eating or sleeping habits, a drop in school performance, a lack of interest in things previously important, and writing, speaking, or talking about suicide. Secondly, what to do if a relative or friend lets you know they are suicidal. If you think a friend or relative is at risk, discuss your concerns with them openly and non-judgmentally. Rather than putting the idea of suicide into someone's head, a supportive conversation give them the opportunity to talk about their distress. Encourage or help the person to access professional help, such as their mental health professional or a support helpline. If you have suicidal thoughts, Feeling suicidal means feeling more pain than you can cope with at the time. Thoughts of suicide are only thoughts. Having them does not mean you need to act on them. Try to remember that with help, you can feel better and keep yourself safe. People get through this. You can too. Lastly, some ways to stay safe when experiencing suicidal thoughts include: tell someone on how you feel, a family member, trusted friend, or teacher. Call your local hospital and ask for mental health team. Go to your psychologist, psychiatrist, or mental health professional. And lastly, call a crisis helpline, suicide line 1300-651-251. It's operating for 24 hours.
Going to continue the second point of the importance of mental health awareness. The second point of the importance of the mental health awareness is social media influence. Why we love using social media to get informed, find entertainment, and connect with our friends. That is the dark side of it that many people are talking about. The truth is, social media can leave consequences and deep scars in the mind of the users, especially the young generations. Social media will show and expose about luxury, so they can watch the rich, famous, successful, and celebrity people on social media. So they will get mental because they want to be as good as them. For example, they will feel they have a low self-image, they will insecure about their body issues, and this can cause them to have a depression and also anxiety. So we can see that social media seriously harm mental health. Since social media is on its rise with 3.5 billion active users worldwide, the effect it's in people around us is actually mind-blowing. With this kind of new traits, social media users need to raise the bar in mental health awareness and encourage them to learn about self-love, not judging people, love everyone, and also talk about their insecurity openly. Other than that, I think that influencers have a huge number of following in their social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. Actually, they can use this platform to spread positivity vibe to the other social media. Besides, I think that social media user itself need to stop and avoid cyberbullying, harassing, and also body shaming people based on what they post in their social media. So I think that this awareness actually will give positive feedback in return, but many people looks at these issues as trivial, but it's actually give a big impact to someone else's life. So we as many social users need to spread positivity among the other social media users.
My point today is closing the gap. Why closing the gap is important for mental health awareness? Mental health awareness had been the problem that many people face for a long time. Closing the gap is important for mental health awareness. Here are some types of mental disorder. First, eating disorder.
personality disorder, anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder can attack any time that we don't know at the person that faced the mental disorder problem. That's why closing the gap is very important to mental health awareness, because if we know that someone have the problem that are some types that I mentioned early, we can diagnose, we can detect, and we can help him or her to solve their problem, to cope their mental disorder. Community are supposed to help each others. However, until now we haven't get exposed much about mental health awareness. Our community need to know more about mental health awareness. Social media or other media can expose more about mental health education, so that our community can get more information and can get more education, can understand more about mental health, so that they can be aware with their surrounded. Next, community need to know how to recognize the problem and others' problem that they are facing. Next, we need to help other peers with similar or other mental health problem, so they can solve their problem, so they can living in peace and safely without any overthinking that haunt them every day.
Based off my friend said, we all know the teenage phase is the most sensitive period of life. The emotional accident make a huge impact on the brain during that phase. As a result, 14% of the youth is affected by mental illness, but not all of them know what is going wrong with them and why their brain is not able to cope up properly. Around 20% of them have an anxiety disorder, which includes obsession and phobias. Apart of that, around 10% of them struggle against bipolar disorder. In addition, only half of the people know about their mental problem, while only half of these aware people get the treatment. The stigma attached to their health affects their school performance, fewer employment opportunities, and in the worst cases, it leads to suicides. If we are aware of it, it can be easy to spot the early symptoms. Moreover, if we know what the person is going through and what difficulties they are having, the social acceptance will not be an issue, as a lack of education about subject is what makes it complex. We should know about how mental health person feel the reason behind him behaving like somebody he is not. Furthermore, the social acceptance will make them more comfortable to discuss their mental problems and about having treatment. The mentally ill person need to be treated in the same way as we treat the physical ill person. Overall, this mental health problem need to be overcome to avoid undesirable things. If this problem is not overcome immediately, it will have an adverse effect that will damage the present generation. Furthermore, not many people care about this problem, whereas if ignored, will most likely be fatal. This is why we need to have awareness about mental health problem. Thank you.